Some people chase the mainstream. Others crave what hides in shadows. Welcome to Indie Horror Junkie, the home of filmmakers, writers, artists, and fans who live for the strange, the bold, the unapologetically independent. From blood-soaked short films and underground features to creator spotlights, reviews, and horror you won't find anywhere else. No studio filters, no safe bets, just raw imagination and fearless storytelling. If you love horror that takes risks, horror that bleeds passion, horror made by creators who refuse to play it safe, then you're already one of us. Indie Horror Junkie. Feed your fear. Support the underground. Indie Horror Junkie, where independent horror lives and refuses to die.
Welcome to the Indie Horror Junkie Podcast, where nightmares meet the light, shadows entwine. Tonight we dive deep into the horror scene, with Rod and Ricky in Asylum, Aimee living the dream. Hear the howl of the night echo in your mind, where the rebels of fright, leaving no soul behind. Movers and shakers, we've got the scoop. Filmmakers and actors, they're part of our group. Indie horror lovers, gather all around, bringing the edge, where true tales are found. With every wound that bleeds, a story to tell. Join us, laugh, where the haunted begins.
Good evening, junkies. Rod and Ricky in the house. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Episode number 127, you guys. I love number 27, so I already know it's going to be a great show. And it's going to be a fantastic show because we have some amazing guests tonight. They are returning. You've seen them on here before, but not together. We've got a whole lot of new stuff to talk about. Joining us is DiDonna and Thomas Boyd, here to discuss Green Day's American Idiot, which is coming to the Dr. Phillips Center in Orlando later this month. But first, Rod and Rick, we want to get into some indie horror junkie news?
Absolutely.
Okay, first up, we're going to talk about the Indie Horror Junkie Dances with Blood 2-week horror film challenge. Submissions are officially open, so make sure that you are gathering your teams. You are registering them on Film Freeway. So head over to Dances with Blood, scroll to the bottom of the page, click on that Film Freeway button, and register your team. We have some big prizes, you guys. $1,000 is going to be the first place prize, along with this gorgeous trophy that we had custom made. You're going to get free film festival submissions. You're going to get magazine features. We're going to bring you on the show. And there's also some additional prizes. There's a lot of eyes on this. We've had some great sponsors. So definitely check this out. Head to our socials, learn more about it, check out danceswithblood.com. And just like I said, if you guys have any questions, email us and we're happy to tell you more, because this is what is going to be happening right at the beginning of 2027 before we roll into the Film Fest. Speaking of Film Fest, we will be heading back to MegaCon Orlando 2027. So keep an eye on our socials. We're going to be announcing our submissions opening for that soon as well. So lots going on. We want to see your indie horror shorts, your indie horror features. We want to bring in the best of the best for panels and networking and screenings. So make sure that you guys are getting your films ready for that, because you know how we do MegaCon. It's bigger and better every single year, and we will not be disappointing next year as well. We're also in pre-production, you guys. Rick and I have been on the phone and on the computer. We are hustling behind the scenes for all of you junkies. We are going to be teaming up with Rebel Studios, bringing you the follow-up sequel for The Clock called The Clock Hell's Bells. We just announced our cast this week. Let's take a look at these lovely leading ladies. We have Brink Stevens joining us as Irma, Celeste Blandon as Bethany, and Kendall Kruger as Midori. So we are super excited to work with these ladies. We are excited to be filming at the historic May Stringer House in Brooksville, Florida. So follow our social media for exclusive behind the scenes updates, photos, and production news on that. We also have issue number 25 of the Indie Horror Junkie magazine available. If you have not gotten your copy yet, make sure you head over to indiehorrorjunkie.com, get your physical copy, get your digital copy. You want to check out everything going on here in this issue. We have Joshua Schultz, the filmmaker behind Boogeyman, on the cover, along with our indie horror hottie Janet J from the Mummy and the Monkey podcast. You guys know and love them. We've had them on the show. This issue includes exclusive feature articles, continued festival coverage, indie horror news around the world. So head over to the website and get your copies for that. And if you love what we're doing with the magazine and you want to be a part of helping support what's going on, what we're doing, and all the news we're putting out, head over to indiehorrorjunkie.com, contact us, and learn more about all the available advertising opportunities that we have. And as always, I want to give a nice little shout out to Tarot Cards, Rick. Let's give them some love tonight. They've got some new stuff. They always do every single week. If you guys aren't following them on Instagram and Facebook, check it out. Rick, talk about this Tarot Cards. These right here.
Yes, Tarot Cards is a trading card app. It's so cool. You get an online every day. They've got a whole community set up on this app, so you can get on there and you can trade cards. They release new cards all the time. They're doing a deal where they're actually releasing the cover of all the Indie Horror Junkie magazines. And this image that I have on the screen right now, they're going to be taking part. They're one of our sponsors for the upcoming Halloween Horror Picture Show, and they're going to be giving away 2 autographed physical trading cards from Speed Demon, which is the feature film that will be screening there as well. So you have to be present to win these, but definitely check out Tarot Cards. It's a free app. It's a wonderful game, and it's growing each and every day.
We love Tarot Cards, and they're huge supporters of Indie Horror Junkie. And if you guys want to continue to support us as well, head over to YouTube, like and subscribe and share. And I can't believe I forgot. You guys, if you have not heard, we've had them on the show before as well. The Boy from Below is out. The Junkies might have something to do with it. You might see our logo. You might see this mug. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, then all you got to do is head over to Fandango, Apple TV, Prime, type in The Boy from Below, and watch yourself a really amazing slasher. We're so excited to finally have this release. So congratulations to the cast and crew. Tori Jones, writer-director, amazing job. Show some love. It takes a lot to make a movie. We filmed this, 2 years ago, and the process it goes through for post-production and film festivals and getting distribution. They signed with Dread, you guys. It doesn't get really any better than that. And I think that you're going to love this film. It is the epitome of indie horror. Crazy talent, great plot, great story, lots of, slashing and dicing and lots of practical special effects. But enough of the gore. We have some more fun stuff to get into. We are going to be talking about Green Day's American Idiot with John and with Thomas Floyd. So what do you say we bring them on?
Okay, here's a logo of the new show. So you can check out all the specifics there. And without further ado,
welcome to the show, you guys. Again and again and again, we've had you each on several times. John, we've had you on for Phantasmagoria. Thomas, we've had you on for Stat Academy. But you guys you're returning your sold out show from last year at Valencia College, and you are bringing Green Day American Idiot to the stage at Dr. Phillips Center for the Performing Arts. So let's get into that. For anyone who has not experienced Green Day American Idiot on stage, how would you guys describe what they're about to see?
Whoa. Thomas.
Oh my gosh. One thing about the show that I've always really loved is it's kind of one of those experiences one of those experiences that are open to any sort of live performance viewer. You know, if you are a traditional musical theater lover, you'll come in and you'll find something that you really love. If you're a massive Green Day fan, obviously you'll have something you'll really appreciate. And if you were straight off the street as far as live performance, you're in for something really special. You're in for something really unique. There's not a show quite like this one. And yeah, you're in for a bunch of rock and roll and interesting decision making.
I mean, it's just an energy explosion on stage from start to finish, you know, and that's what initially drew me to the show, was just the energy that is infectious. And it explodes on the stage and into the audience, which is just amazing. So it's a very powerful show in terms of experiencing it, not just watching it. Yeah.
So, John, speaking of last year's show, completely sold out. I mean, that's incredible. So what was it about the audience's response to that show that made you realize that this show deserved a much larger stage?
Wow. I mean, they were incredible. They were up in the aisles dancing. They were screaming at the end. They were, you know, they were people who were there at a rock experience. So it was just incredible. We did not, I mean, we thought people were going to enjoy the show. You know, you go in hoping for that. We didn't realize how viscerally they were going to latch onto the show. And we had people coming back over and over again. And we had people who would switch seats so they could sit up close and like kind of what we called the mosh pit version of the show. And so it was just kind of incredible. It was that synergy between the audience and the cast that was actually incredible. So, you know, when the show ended, I was very upset. You know, I was very sad to see it go. And I remember distinctly Kristen Abel, who is one of our administrators at Valencia. She was there for the last performance, and she was standing in the aisle at the end, like everybody had left, and she was standing there and she was crying. And I said, "Kristen, what's going on?" And she said, "This is the best show we have ever done at this school." She was just floored by it, you know? And so we knew there was something special there, but it wasn't until they came to me that I realized we were going to be doing it again. I had been thinking about it privately, like, damn, someday I'd love to do that show again, you know? But then I'll let Thomas kind of take up the story here because he's the one who contacted me.
Yeah, it was one of those things where we all felt very personally, emotionally impacted by the first run that we did at Valencia. And I remember going into the last show and a few of us, but I remember specifically talking about this with Cameron, who plays Johnny in the show, and Morgan, who plays Heather in the show. And we were both just kind of like, we really feel like we just started, you know, that it's like as soon as we got going, now that it's over, we feel like we have a lot more to say with this. And given the positive reception we had at Valencia, there was this feeling that it was undeniable. It was completely fully felt amongst everybody in the cast of like, we could go bigger with this. We can challenge ourselves as artists to go deeper and bigger into this. And immediately, you know, I kind of sent out a big text amongst the cast, and I was like, okay, I'll go to John. I will hit the first domino here, but I need to know, like, because if you guys show up, I'll show up. And it was a unanimous thumbs up, and now we are here a year later, and we're doing it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And not just you. We have Stat Academy, which you're the lead singer of, performing the entire score live. So this is instead of using this, you know, the traditional orchestra or whatever you did last year, you guys are bringing an entire established band into this. So tell us what that experience has been for you and what it has meant for you, because I know your love for the genre. I know your love for being on stage and both a theatrical essence and being on a stage with your band, and you always merge both. You guys have the most, and I say that every time we go to a show, you guys stand out because you bring the theatrics to the stage. You're not just standing there. You guys are moving, and that helps you stand out. But what has this been like for you? I know you guys are working hard, but let's just go to the beginning of it and kind of take us down that journey.
Man, I mean, geez, my relationship with American Idiot began in 2005. So growing up, I used to watch with my older brother TRL in the mornings.
Total Request Live.
Yeah. And it was through that show where I found my love for so many artists. Like, I have a very vivid memory of My Chemical Romance when Three
Oh,
Cheers
yeah.
for Revenge came out, and they were on TRL, and Linkin Park. But I remember when American Idiot came out and the band was on TRL, and they debuted the video for Wake Me Up When September Ends. And watching that as someone who was quite young, and I remember being like, this is something else, you know. And it's a special thing when you can connect to music that way and at such a young age. And I remember my older brother, getting the CD, and he would listen to it over and over and over and over. And I remember the first time I really dived into it, that I recognized that it was something special. I remember the very first lyric I ever heard. One of my earliest memories of hearing lyrics and recognizing that I connected with words was hearing the lyrics, "I'm the son of rage and love, the Jesus of suburbia," and not knowing what the hell that meant, but knowing it meant something. And fun fact, John, you may know this, I'm not too sure, but on the original CD, when you opened up the booklet, there was like the lyric book that was in all of the lyrics on the original CD were written in the form of letters. They looked like letters.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
Written to people by the name Will, Tunny, what's her name, and all of these people, Jimmy, so on and so forth. When it became a Broadway musical in the 2010s, at that point I had already kind of, grown my love for musical theater at the time, and it was the perfect combination of things that I could ever think of. As I got older and as my life progressed the way it did, I found so much reflection in what the narrative of the story of the show is and what was going on in my life. And it's just been that album for me that has been such a anthem for me in my life. So I always wanted to tell the story. I always wanted to bring the story to life. I then started making my own music, with American Idiot being one of those early dominoes for me that made me want to do that. And the fact that I get to now, doing the show at Valencia was incredible. It was a dream come true. John, you remember at the last show, I completely broke down to my feet during that final curtain.
Yeah.
This is going to be something else. I'm standing with my best friends in the world on that stage, who I creatively get to share a stage with all the time. You ask any member of the band, they all have a personal relationship to this album. So we now all stand together as creatives, paying the most heartfelt homage to the music that turned us into artists. And we're telling a story that for me is incredibly personally mirrored for me. And it's the greatest feeling in the world. I don't know how it's going to feel that opening night when we step out and do that. It's going to be such a full circle for all of us. We had a full band rehearsal last night, and we reached the song "What's Their Name," which is the last song of the show. And there was a moment where we finished the song and we kind of just stood there and we all kind of got emotional together. And it was a really wonderful thing where we were like, man, we are making 10-year-old us so proud, but we're also making us at our own age now so happy too. So it's such a special thing. It really is.
I love that. That's incredible. It's very personal to all of us. And so when Zach said, I want my band to do this, it became even more personal. We're looking for all those personal connections within, which is crazy because we're sitting here talking about this, insane, loud, explosive rock musical. Yeah, we all have this personal engagement to it, and investment to it. And I think that's what's making it work, to kind of go full circle, Aimee, to the first question. That's what's making it work, is every single person in the show, whether it's the staff, the musicians, the crew. We have our drug advisor with the crew, and he is so intense and engaged in all of it, because it's stuff that he's experienced in his life, and so everybody has a personal investment. And just having Sad Academy there, we had wonderful musicians the first time around. We had session musicians who came in, but to have this band and this personal connection and have them integrate in with the cast is it was a no-brainer to say yes to this.
It's really exciting to see the both of your worlds kind of merge and come together like this. And I have to say, Zach, I love when you were talking about like taking the CD and the lyrics and all that out. And I was like, oh God, I'm gonna age myself because I can remember when Dookie came out and
Dookie.
I went to Walmart so I could buy the cassette
Yeah.
and sitting on my
Yeah.
bedroom
What's
floor with
that?
the cassette tape. Exactly. And taking that little, piece of folded up paper
Yeah.
inside. It wasn't even a booklet a CD has. It was just like a
Yep.
trifold and like learning all the lyrics. And my mom told me to turn it down. What are you listening to? And just ignoring her anyways. But I remember my personal connection with that. And I think that's why this is a sellout show, because Green Day has spanned itself across so many different generations, and we all still connect to it, and we also remember the way we felt when we first heard those lyrics, because they tell stories of love and rage. Like the darkness cannot exist without light, and so we can't not connect with that as humans. But for you, John, what initially attracted you into directing American Idiot, both musically but as a piece of theater?
So I had wanted to direct it for probably about 15 years at Valencia. And they kept saying, "Oh, let's do it here." And I kept saying, "No, I don't know the form of it yet." I kept saying, they didn't understand what I meant. I kept saying, no. And then they built this huge outdoor amphitheater kind of at Valencia. And they're like, "Do it here." And I'm like, "No." And then finally, I saw the kind of LA garage version that they did, which was very intimate and very close. And finally, I went to them and I said, "I know how I want to do this now. I understand the show now." Because I've always looked at it as this intimate show, this show where there's no separation between the audience. And I don't mean like, gimmicks and stuff like that. I mean, there is no emotional separation between the audience and the show. So that is what drew me into it. I always loved the music. I always love the idea of navigating this story. It's hard to navigate this story. It's just like we've compared it to the musical Hair, because the musical Hair has a story in there, but it's very nebulous. It's hard to latch on to the story. The movie is very different than the stage musical. So we made a lot of comparisons actually between that. And the narrative is really hard to follow unless you let it rise to the surface. And that was our total intent. When Zach and I were first having Thomas and I were
Take a sip.
having our conversations, none of it was about the music. It was all about the character and the story and the themes and latching on. So that's what drew me. Whenever I direct a musical, it always has to have an amazing story. And in this one, we had, because it's not the first thing I go to. I only direct musicals maybe once every 2-3 years, because it has to really pull me in.
It's such an investment. It has to.
Yeah, it has to be. Yeah. And the story of Johnny and Jimmy really, really attracted me. This kind of symbiotic, dangerous yet love relationship. And then the more I delved into it, when I realized, it's not Jimmy and Johnny, it's Jimmy and Johnny and what's her name. And it's this kind of trinity of love and jealousy and guilt and resentment. That's where I really said, now I want to direct this show. Yeah.
It's also about like alienation. And
100%.
Media coverage and like that whole disillusionment.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel like that still is so relevant right now in 2026, telling that story now?
It's probably more relevant now. Yeah.
Interesting, right?
What I find very interesting is that the initial foundational commentary of this show was written, and the album was written, post 9/11, which was during this period of time where, reality TV really became huge. And, that very split political idea of, CNN versus Fox, right? And media and television and all of these things, online forums that were really starting to boom. Those were the things that were essentially telling young people how to live their lives.
Yeah.
And what to believe in, where this sense of disillusionment really began to kind of foundationally set, for that generation. Nowadays, people live on the internet. I mean, I've learned this every day, through trying to market, music for a band in 2026. Like people live through their devices with short form content to allow them a moment of feeling, or swiping beyond that. I feel like the theme of disillusionment through media, which is literally what our first song on the show is about,
Mhm.
It sets the tone for all of it. It's so massive now, which is why I feel like what makes the bones of our story and the world in which our story takes place, I feel like it's so much bigger than it was when it was originally, conceived. Which is why, John, you mentioned the LA production of the show. What's fun about American Idiot is if you go on a deep dive, you'll find a lot of productions of this show that can really miss the mark. And I say that with love and respect to creatives out there. But at the end of the day, you have to have that understanding of the foundation of what the world is set in when creating the world and how you're going to present it on a stage. And that's something that when I was initially cast in the show, I remember calling John before I was even initially cast. I was like, I need to know what this show means to you. I need to know what your vision is here. And then it was through conversations. I went, okay, let's give it a shot.
Yeah, it was intense negotiating the beginning of this show in a great way, because it was negotiating it with people who had such an investment in it. And, if you think back when, Zach, you brought up this whole idea of, Thomas, you brought up this whole idea of disillusionment. Yeah, every time I do it, you're going to take a drink. But people back then became disillusioned. The generations now are born into disillusionment, So
Yeah.
starting at a much, much deeper place of it right now, there's a disengagement, a disillusionment, and a cynicism that's a smart cynicism, but also a very dangerous cynicism. And that's what our generations are right now. And so, it speaks to the people from the 90s in one way, to the 2000s. I mean, it speaks to every generation because none of this has gone away. And I'm sure if this album came out back in the 60s, people would have found their disillusionment with it. And if it came out in the 1800s, they would have found their disillusion with it, because it's something that just civilization goes through. So it's not just timely, but it's persistent and prevalent, everything that is in this show. In 30 years from now, it's still going to have importance. And that is what makes something last. We listen to the Beatles still 60 years later because something makes it last. This album is still being listened to. New generations are finding it. New generations are finding the musical because it just sticks in its truth.
Right.
If this would have come out in the 1800s, they would have been burned at the stake as witches.
Well, they would have been, but they would have been listening.
And Rick would have made a
We're listening first, right? Yes.
They'd watch 2 minutes of Last Night on Earth and easily walk out so quick.
Oh God.
I want to talk about how this show is nearly a sung through opera in its own. Like there's very little traditional dialogue. So how do you make sure the audience still clearly follows the characters in their emotional journey telling the story this way?
Oof, that's a tough one. I mean, because it's true, because people can get lost in the music, especially because the music is so familiar that oftentimes they forget that there's a story under there. There's characters, there's a story, there's a narrative. So we've really had to we're not stopping rehearsals to go, hey, let's go over that dance move. We're literally stopping rehearsals to go, let's talk about this emotional moment where we're in right now. We're treating it like a play.
Right on, yeah.
We're treating it like a play with no music, and then there just happens to be music that is the device that tells the story. So we're really concentrating on that, and we're discovering new moments. We have 3 new actors in the show because there are 3 performers from Valencia.
Who are amazing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they're incredible additions. One is a Valencia alumni who I've worked with many times over the past 10, 11 years. One is a member of the community who auditioned for it as well, who I've worked with. And Zach also knows, who we've worked with for a while. And one is a current Valencia student. And each one of them is bringing new aspects to the story. When somebody who is doing a rock and roll musical comes up to you and says, hey, can we talk a little bit about my relationship with Heather? And when we met and what we were like at kindergarten. That's your performers are doing their job. They're
doing that backstory.
Yeah, they're doing the backstory. They're looking for the emotional connections. How do I feel, rather than how do I look? How do I sing? Where's the fire? Going to explode around me. And too many times the show is done just as a concert. And here's the thing, though. It works as a concert. It works on stage if you just do it as a concert. But we kind of knew going into it, we wanted a lot more than that. We wanted to go for the story. And the second time around, the performers have I don't want to say matured into it, but they've lived with it now for a year and a half. So those characters have continued to develop. They haven't lost anything. If anything, they've built upon the built upon the built upon. And that's been kind of incredible. And then with the new energy of a new Tunny and, a new extraordinary girl and new ensemble members, it's forced the other actors now to reevaluate where they were. We've developed whole new relationships between Johnny, Will, and Tunny that we didn't know existed before because of this new thing. So it's keeping it fresh for us and hopefully fresh for the audience.
I'm more excited by the minute to see that show. I don't want to say, plug the we're going to plug them at the end of the show, but just in case people are watching now and not watching later and vice versa. Again, this is at the Dr. Phillips Center of the Performing Arts in Orlando, Florida. August 20th, 21st, and 22nd, you guys have 8 p.m. shows, and August 23rd is a 2 p.m. show.
Yep.
So real quick now, we're going to plug it now and plug it later. Where can they get tickets?
The Dr. Phillips Center. If they just go to the Dr. Phillips Center website, they can just get the tickets right there. It's a very long link, so I'm not going to narrate the whole link to you. But yeah, you could just go to the box office of the Dr. Phillips and search American Idiot. It'll be playing 4 performances. I know that some of them are already very close, if not already sold out, which is just incredible. This is the first time I've ever had to call. It's a fun joke, but it's the truth. I've had to call the licensing company and say, hey, we're going over our limits. Is that okay? And their response was typical. They said, yes, just send us the final box office and we'll charge you more.
There you go.
Which is great. We want that. We want them to make more money and we want to bring in more, and stuff. Because the way Phantasmagoria works in general is everybody shares. So there's a lot of theaters that don't pay. There's a lot of theaters that pay minimal. There's a lot of theaters that pay salaried. We do it on shares. Everybody takes a share of everything, We want those actors who are putting in their work to walk out of here with something. And so that is, as a producer, like moving myself from the director position for a second, as a producer, it's very exciting to know that we're going to be able to do that. And we're going to be able to take care of the people who take care of us. So that's a beautiful thing. Yeah.
And for anybody who follows SAT Academy on social media, all of the links in our bios have access to tickets as well.
Yeah. Brother.
And I don't want to skip a moment, John, because you do so much in the Central Florida area for performers. I mean, you also, speaking of Phantasmagoria, you're founded that Victorian Gothic performance troupe. We know and love you, through MegaCon, which is how, we know you're been on the show. But not just them. I don't want to skip out on what you do for Valencia College. You are the artistic director and producer of theater. And how many years again have you been there? You said 20-something?
Yes, 20-something years I've been there, both as an adjunct and then as the artistic director and producer. I went full-time, I think it's about 16 years ago. I went full-time at Valencia, and I've been there. And, we produce anywhere from 3 to 5 shows a year. Which I produce for them. I don't direct all of them. We bring in guest directors, and wonderful people. Yeah, we meet wonderful collaborators. So, for example, Alexander LaPlante, who was the original musical director of American Idiot, he's not doing this version because he wasn't here. We have this wonderful musical director, Jason Bailey, who has come in to do it for us. But Alexander is directing our next main stage show. So it's this wonderful way to network and meet people and stuff like that. So it's been great. And there are people who I work with to this day that I met at Valencia. Our stage manager, who's calling the show for us for American Idiot, has been working with me for now close to 17 years. And I met her as crew at Valencia College. So it's just kind of really wonderful that networking and family that is built out of Valencia. So
it is. You guys you're giving opportunities.
And hopefully they're going to take them out there. We've had people in Marvel TV series. We've had people in movies. We've had people who just go into community theater because that's what they love. So it's really nice to see all of these people continually working in something that they love, or teaching. A lot of my former students have gone on to teach, which is just incredible. So it's been a great experience at Valencia for the better part of, or more than 2 decades. Absolutely.
Anybody watching, if you're in the Central Florida area or within 1 to 2 hours and you do not buy tickets to come see the show, you are ding dongs. I said it. I already have tickets for one night. I kind of want to come and see it a second night the night before. I was like, can I get out there and just go at night and then go back the next day? I'll see if I can work.
Girl, you
that.
can stay at you could stay at the Sat Academy house. Let's go.
You,
Like,
you
I've
can
been trying
sleep
to
on the
figure it out
scaffolding.
because
Yeah, it's fine.
I feel
yeah.
like one night isn't going to be enough. I feel like it's like watching a really good movie where you're like, I gotta watch that again because it was so good and I was so lost in the sauce that I probably did miss a couple of things.
Sure.
So I might hit you up and come out for that second show.
Speaking of people watching, a lot of the cast of American Idiot are actually watching this right now. So
Oh, that's
Chime
amazing.
in.
Well, what's
Everyone,
up, you
yeah.
guys?
So,
Chime in,
hello,
say hello. We can definitely be interactive on the show as well. But Thomas, Sat Academy, you guys are performing the entire theatrical score. I would like to know, because I've been to your Sat Academy shows, how different it is preparing for this compared to, preparing for a Sat Academy show.
Like I lost audio for like 2 seconds. You're
So, like, the
saying
difference between the preparations of American Idiot in this show
Right.
versus going on stage for a Sat Academy show, because you guys are balancing both right
Yeah.
now, everywhere in between. So, what is that difference in prep there?
So one thing I thought was very cool is when we got all of our materials for this show, I thought it was very cool because we got all the music books for everybody who needed, the materials for learning parts and, brushing up part work. But I actually got a script for the show. I have the script and everything, that tells that story for what it is. Almost every member of the band immediately said, we want to read the script. We want to know exactly what story we're telling and how that, plays into the music of what we're doing. And Peter, specifically, the bass player of the band, he read through the whole thing and he was like, wow, because he saw the show, the whole band saw the show and we did it at Valencia. But he was like, now I have a much stronger understanding. So I think the biggest change in preparation is, when we create our records and when we're orchestrating our stuff, we're very understanding, and we start at ground zero as far as like the world we're building, the story we're telling, the emotional direction of what we're trying to achieve, and understanding that the audience is going to perceive it as however they want. I always say when I write a song, what it means for me is kind of no one's business in the best way. Like what a song means for me is my journey with it. As soon as it's out, it's yours. And there's no better feeling in the world than singing a song you wrote in your bedroom in front of 200 people that you don't know, and they're singing those songs back to you for whatever reason that they have as to why they connect with it. What's really beautiful about American Idiot is these are songs we all know. We all have our own relationship to it. We all have our own, personal stories behind where we were the first time we heard Give Me Novocaine or the first time we heard Boulevard of Broken Dreams. I remember this. I was at the DC skate park here in Orlando as a child with my MP3 player, and I'd go with my brother because I was too afraid to get on a skateboard. So I'd listen to music and I'd watch everyone do their thing, and I would bump the shit out of Boulevard of Broken Dreams and Are We Moving? And I would play Tony Hawk Underground on my PS2, and Holiday was one of the songs on that game. And I would go crazy, and then I'd share it on MySpace later. It was one of those things where
I heard to bring MySpace back.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. It was just one of those. It's one of those records that's just so everyone has a story with it, and what we care the most about in this is not only upholding the integrity of the piece of the story we're telling, but that whether it be through our bass, through our guitars, through the drums, we are taking every aspect of our personal connection to the material with the story in mind and bleeding a performance through that.
Yeah.
And it is the biggest hat off salute to, again, why we do this to begin with.
There you go. And to deep dive even further and twist your mind a little bit more, Thomas.
Here we go.
You're playing Saint Jimmy, but what is the challenge of simultaneously leading the band, staying musically connected to the cast, but remaining fully present in that character?
Oh,
I'm coming in close for this one.
yeah.
Because that's a lot. Those are a lot of layers. I mean, your
It
brain
is.
is firing in different directions because everything has to connect. But those are layers that you are building within yourself for the audience. And maybe they don't know the process a performer goes through to not, like, there are commitments and choices that you have to make and marry and stick to so you're consistent, and so that you're able to do all of those different elements. There is a craft to it. And what is
Yeah.
that process for you? How are you able to balance all of it?
I mean, and I'm gonna really do my best to not get emotional when I answer this. You know, first and foremost, my band is my family, and no one knows me better than those guys do. And they all know what I've been through as a human. They all know what my story is. And they're certainly, I won't get into too much of it, but like, they all know what this material means for me. And every lyric of every song is a memory, is a scar, is a dream, is, you know, it's, I could not be louder about the fact. And I even said this to John right during the conversation in which he cast me, where I said, nobody understands this show better than I do. And I will say that as proudly as I can. I have lived this experience. And I always know, if you're wanting, like, what the crutch is I know when it comes to music, I can trust the guys behind me. I don't even have to think about it. They know what story we're telling. They know what the story is for me. As soon as we start those chords, I know we're safe. What's really beautiful about when we did the show at Valencia is I found another family. I found another tribe of people who also understood exactly what we were doing. And we all spent so much time really building a community within the cast. And that's another safety point. I want to shout out Cameron, who plays Johnny in the show, because him and I spent so many nights, so many hours really building an arc between the two of us, and a bridge between our performances that could really clearly, that we could both understand, so we could make sure that what's written on the paper could be delivered, but also what we believed in our hearts could be delivered. And when it comes to what I have to do as Jimmy, man, that's the really difficult thing. And me and John have talked about this a lot, and we've had a lot of private conversations, and he knows what that journey is for me every night of having to tell that story. And there are many moments in the show where it's extremely cathartic for me to get into that mindset. But the way I look at it, and the way I find safety in it, is because as someone who's been through that journey, I understand how you can find friendship in dependency. I understand how dependency can feel like a warm hug. I know what it feels like to find love in something that you know is hurting you, and exactly what it also feels like to have that come crashing down. So when me and John were staging the original production, and then obviously as we've been staging this one and making it bigger, it's almost an honor for me to really dive into that. And all I can say is I put all of the love I have in the world into it. And I just hope the audience feels that.
And they do. And so you can see that I'm getting very excited about everything that Thomas is saying. It was integral that Jimmy be a huge part of Johnny's heart and soul and mind. And the problem is, with the problem that's inherent in the show is that, say Jimmy could be one of those spectacular rock stars and only that. Or say Jimmy could be a malignant tumor to the show. And I've seen, both approaches to it. When our designer, our projection designer, Dana, came up to me after watching it the first time, and she said, I may be reacting to this show wrong because I feel weird, because I feel really like I care about, say, Jimmy a lot. And I went, that was our goal. Our goal was that we have to see that. And I think, Thomas, I expressed it to you when we were talking about it. I said, we know that Johnny needs Jimmy, but doesn't Jimmy need Johnny? Because without Johnny, Jimmy's nothing. He fades into existence. He's Marvel blipping and turning into ash. He doesn't exist. And to me, that's what the same. Zach, Thomas and I have never discussed this, That's how, yeah, drink. That's how I view the band. The band is an extension of St. Jimmy. And at the end of the show, when Johnny is standing there and the lights are fading down in the 7-Eleven parking lot, they're all slowly disappearing. They're all just going out there to the ethos because they don't exist anymore. Because St. Jimmy does.
No spoilers.
Yeah, no spoilers, right? Yeah. Nobody knows how the show ends. It's like Hamlet. Having the audience have an emotional connection to St. Jimmy, having them be confused by that, having them look at it and go, wait a minute, he's such an amazing rock star. Why do I also hate him? And at the same time saying, wait a minute, I'm supposed to hate him. Why do I also love him? I think that is really important for the audience journey. They have to latch on to it. They have to have an understanding of St. Jimmy to be able to get rid of him, And that's part of what our mission has been all along from the start, is to create him as a real character, not as just an archetype. Yeah.
I feel like if there's people watching who don't even know what this show is, you need to show up, because here's what I'm hearing from two people that I know, creatively and that I respect. I know what you guys do. I feel like, and this is kind of hats off to you, John, you have created an environment for these creatives to not only, show their abilities, but you have created a safe space where they are also comfortable enough. Like Zach said, like my band has my back. These castmates have my back. But that is a recipe. That doesn't always happen on every set. Rick and I are also filmmakers. We know energy on set is important. And if you're not in a safe space, it's not going to happen. Right. And I feel like that you guys have created this space within the show for not just safety, Zach, to be able to do what you want to do, how you want to do it. Like you said, it's nobody's business, but that's for us to see. And that's our experience on what you give us. But there's also liberation and freedom.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm really sensing here. And I think that is really beautiful. So like I said, if you guys don't even understand what this story is about, who cares? Show up. I'm telling you, these people are going to blow your freaking socks off.
You'll discover the story. You'll discover it. And hopefully you'll feel for the characters the same way we do, when this is all done, come, we're going to wake up on August 24th and we're going to miss them again. We're going to miss them. Not just
and I'll be texting you again, John. Hey, so when are we doing this again?
Exactly.
Because we won't just be missing working with each other. We're going to miss St. Jimmy, and we're going to miss Johnny, and we're going to miss, every night when what's her name walks away, spoiler, I'm crying watching the rehearsal. We're all emotionally attached to the characters as well as to the cast and crew itself.
Has there been a standout moment rehearsal so far? Like, is there like one song that you're like, people are going to lose their minds when we do this song?
Yeah.
I have my opinion. That Thomas, I'd love to. That wasn't a full one, so you can't take a full drink.
I gotta give props to Ricky though. You've been keeping up with me. I appreciate you.
But what do you? I know what my moments that tug at my heart the most, and I remember the audience reactions too. What do you think in terms of a standout moment?
My favorite moment of the show is a song called "The Last Night on Earth." It's one of the most beautiful songs you've ever heard. And funny enough, it's one of the only love songs that Green Day have ever written. In the context of our show, it is probably the darkest moment of the entire show. Yeah. And the way John has directed it, and the way we're being very loud and clear about what this moment is, I don't want to get too much into the plot because I don't want to give too much away, but it's a really, I'm going to say, disturbing moment. It's a very disturbing part of the show that I have to kind of puppeteer, and it makes me cry every time I get the fortunate opportunity to walk off as soon as the song is done because I need to kind of re-get myself. Yeah. My favorite song of the show, my favorite piece written of the show is the song "What's Her Name." We all have a "What's Her Name." It's a song about reflecting on the thing that we once loved and understand that we don't have with us anymore. Do you look back at that thing in hate, or do you with rage, or do you look back at that thing with love? And our show really presents that as a question mark in which the audience can really take what they want from that. it's something that's really cool about this show. You ask anybody when they walk out of the show how they perceive it, you'll get a different answer depending on who you ask. And that song makes me cry every time I hear it. It really does.
I'm going to agree with Thomas in a lot of ways. My favorite moment of the show is last night. Excruciatingly painful, and it's multiple stories coming to fruition at once. Then we're watching them go through this. It's very much an overlapped story kind of a thing. And the juxtaposition of those images is painful to watch and lovely all at the same time. And you understand everything they're doing, and at the same time you're going, please don't do that, oh my God, please don't. It's just an incredible moment. And What's Her Name is the one, like I said, makes me cry every night, because we found our own way of approaching it. We found our own moment and what it means. And once again, that idea of actors creating backstory, and we created actual moments that are happening for them. And then I would also have to say that 21 Guns to me is the anthem of the show. And it's sometimes done in this kind of very depressing way, and sometimes done in a very angry way, and sometimes done in a very loving way. And we do it all three. We find that way to express it. And hopefully they're just hanging on to each other as they're doing this song. It's also one of the few songs where all the stories merge. All of them come together. Even though they're not physically there, they all come together emotionally. Tunny's story, and Will and Heather's story, and Johnny's story. Everybody, they just all come together. And it's kind of incredible. So those would be my three markers in the show, plotting it through. Absolutely.
And I have to say, our actress who plays Heather, it is such
What's her
an honor
name?
to
Let's
sing
give her a
her
shout
name.
out.
Yeah.
Her name is Morgan. Her name is Morgan. She's right there dead center.
The dark hair in the center. And then
singing Last Night on Earth with her is one of the greatest honors. It really is. She's incredible on our show.
And then the redhead who's right next to her is our What's Her Name? And she's the one who powerhouses 21 Guns. Just absolutely incredible. She becomes the uniting factor for the women in the show. What's Her Name? For Heather and for Extraordinary Girl. It's kind of wonderful to watch those three worlds come together.
So talking about these songs, and you may have already mentioned them just now, but I was kind of thinking about this. Is there a specific song that you thought you completely understood until you experienced it fully within the musical?
Great question.
Oof.
Especially with
That's
you
a hard
guys,
one.
because you're doing it in your own way.
Wow.
Yeah, no. For me, it's a song called "Are We the Waiting." I very much have my own personal interpretation of what that is. It's a song I'm actually not in the show. I get the honor of getting to watch it every night. What it means in the context of our show and the commentary behind it, and I really don't want to give that away because it's such a powerful moment of the show. It's so eye-opening, and it's one of those songs that you'll listen to and then you'll walk outside and look at the sky a little different. You know what I mean? Like that was one for me. I always looked at that song very introspectively, and after seeing how we adapt it into the narrative of our show, it kind of takes a wider commentary, which is really cool.
For me, I think it's the aforementioned Last Night on Earth. I think when we first went into creating the narrative of that song, it was more like, I want to put these together and see how it works. And then when I saw how they worked, I was surprised by the juxtaposition that affected the emotion. I did not realize it was going to have such a powerful kick as it does. So I think that's the one that it's not like I underestimated it at all. It's that I didn't know it was going to become this brand new thing. It's not A, it's not B, it's C. It's this new thing that was created by combining it all. And so that's the one that I think that I probably learned the most from in directing the show, is that one song.
I love all of this, you guys. I'm not kidding. I think I'm going to have to come for a second night. And Rick, I think we're going to have to drag you across the state to come see the show too.
Yes.
Come on, man.
A couple more questions for you guys, because we are nearing the end, sadly.
Okay.
And I want to give you guys a chance to both plug what you have coming up next. But I think these next important questions are really important for those watching and those that are coming. When the audience walks out of that theater, when they walk out of your show, what conversation do you hope they have on the way home? What message do you really want to stick and resonate with what you are sharing on that stage and what you are giving them, not only with yourself as performers, but the story as a whole?
Wow.
You know, you want to say redemption, but there's no real solid redemption. You
Yeah.
yeah, that's a hard one. This is my life. Even if it's not the particular, that's some of the last words of the show. This is my life. This is my love. This is my city. This is my life.
That's big though. That says a
Yeah,
lot right there.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
big.
That's
That
that's what I
resonates.
think, and I think they're going to leave crying, and I think they're going to leave feeling like they got punched in the stomach
You're
in a
gonna
good
fuck
way.
everybody up and send them
Yeah,
home.
and I think they're going to want to like hug people. Of all things, at the end of like a
Yeah.
rock musical, I think they're going to want to hug people, and we allow that. That's part of our show. We do allow that to happen at the end in many ways, and I think they're all got a sense of unity and community, especially with our encore. Yeah, I think that
Yeah.
that's what they will have. Yeah, and that's when we watch the audiences, and I would always stand back and like to the side of the audience at Valencia just to watch their reactions. And all through the show, I was watching shock and all these different kinds of amazing emotions that were occurring. But when that encore goes and they are all getting to their feet and they are all singing, meaning the audience, it's kind of incredible. And it shows that unity together that they have.
Yeah.
Thomas?
I want to share a comment that someone in the cast who's watching the show just shared with me, because I actually find it interesting. This is coming from cast member Felicia.
Oh,
And
What's that, Felicia?
the quote is,
Yeah, one of our new members,
she's
yeah.
incredible on the show. We're talking about commentary after the show, and she said something that I find very interesting. She said, "Can you save the American dream if it's already dead?
wow.
Was it worth saving to begin with, or should we stop dreaming and live in the real world with each other?"
This is my life. Yep.
This is
Felicia-
my life.
Felicia's very intelligent.
Felicia,
Super
what the fuck?
Yeah, she's super
Yeah.
intelligent, and she has this really she looks at the world in this really, I'm speaking for you, in this kind of really observer objective way, and she can really see shit. I've been working with her for about almost 2 years now, Felicia, I guess it is, on different projects. And yeah, I always love hearing her input on stuff. So that's beautiful. Bravo. Thank you for
Yeah.
that, Thomas.
But this is what
Yeah,
I'm talking
Yeah.
about. This is what this show does.
Yeah.
There's
Right.
so much in there that everybody's walking away in one way feeling the same, but also everybody's walking away with a completely different experience, something that they've resonated with, that the person sitting on either side, front and back of them, they're thinking about something else that they were touched by. And that's what's so beautiful about this.
Yeah.
Zach, Thomas,
I'm out of wine. Fuck.
what about you? What do you want people to feel when they walk away from the story and or your performance and your band on stage?
I can
And the
only
cast
look
and
at
behind
the
you, just as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I can only speak for people like me who have gone through periods of time in their life where they don't know where to move and they don't know how to perceive the world. And maybe they come from good cards, maybe they come from not the best cards. I didn't come from the best cards, I hope that this music and I hope that this story is able to do what it did for me. I hope there's a sense of safety in it. I hope there's a sense of self-understanding within it. I hope a young person walks out of this show and says, maybe I have a better idea on how I want to begin to step forward through the next season of my life. And I hope someone who's maybe older in their life maybe is open to having conversations with younger people and people they love, and how they can maybe help give a sense of guidance. Honestly, at the end of the day, this show is a message of safety. This show is a message of love. Love does come before rage, and you have to go through rage sometimes to find what that is and what love truly is for you. But this piece, this music, this show has been nothing but a place of love for me, and all I can hope is that it's a place of love for the people who come and see it.
And that's what we're here to do, you guys. I don't know if you know that or not, but that's our one job here on earth. If you screw up everything else, remember this: love. We come from love. We are love. And that's what we're supposed to spread and give. And there's different ways to do it. And you guys are doing it with this production. We're super, super stoked. Again, this is going to happen. Let's shout out these dates: August 20th, 21st, and 22nd at 8 p.m. And then the final show, August 23rd at 2 p.m. at the Dr. Phillips Center of the Performing Arts. Get your tickets, get your friends, get your butt in the seats if there's any seats left.
Have a
I'm
drink or
gonna get
two.
tickets for the
Have a
second
drink or
show.
two. Come ready to hang.
Yeah, come hang out. There's an after party. I'm there, and you're both getting hugs from me because I'm really proud of
And
you guys. I know how
I
hard
have
you
to
guys
say-
have been working and all the elements inside and outside of that. It's not easy to put on a show like this, especially when you have other stuff going on. You have personal things going on. You're still having to work. Speaking of work, John, you're doing 4 shows right now. Let's talk about that really quick. Plug it, and then where can everybody find you?
Oh God! So we're doing next week. We literally have 4 shows next week. We're doing we do dinner theater, and it's actually lunch theater that day on the Barbara Lee. So we're doing a murder mystery there. We're opening a devised custom show for the Orlando Museum of Art at 4:00 on the 20th, and at 8:00 we're doing American Idiot. So we have all that happening on the 20th, and then on the 21st. My theater partner is opening a dinner show in St. Charles, Missouri. So we're doing a ton right there. And then we're also rehearsing our next Phantasmagoria. It's our 17th year of Phantasmagoria. And we're rehearsing Frankenstein right now, which is...
You're going to have to come back on and talk about that.
We're doing 5 tales from the Via Diodati. We're doing 2 of the ones they read that night.
Come on.
Or that summer, I should say, from Phantasmagoriana. We're doing Darkness, which is a apocalyptic poem by Lord Byron, the character that I play. And we're also doing The Vampire by John Polidori, and of course, ending with Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. So that's what we're doing right now.
Incredible. Where can everybody find you?
We have a website, phantasmagoriaorlando.com. Also, just Facebook is probably the easiest way. Facebook or Instagram, you can look us up there, Phantasmagoria Orlando or at Phantaz Orlando.
I'm convinced everybody within these squares does not sleep. Everybody is working and thriving and on to the next and in motion. Thomas, what do you guys have going on with Stat Academy? What's next?
We have a great run of a show called American Idiot that opens on August 20th. We are recording our second sophomore album right now entitled The Faded Portrait. We're so excited. It's the most personal piece I've ever created. It's going to be basically the next year of my life. So we're really excited about that. And for anybody who wants a taste of it, come early to American Idiot because the show actually begins with a Stat Academy set. It's about 20 minutes where we're opening the show. And it slowly transitions into the beginning of our narrative. So
is that each night?
Each night.
Every night.
Well, holy shit, I didn't know that. That's a lot of fun. Now, I've got to hear a few of the songs off the album, maybe only 3.
Right.
So how many are going to be playing that night?
We're going to be doing about 4.
4.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
In the event we ever have to hold, we'll have it like maybe an extra, but yeah, it's going to be about a 4 or 5 song set. And it'll be a traditional 20-25 minute show if you've ever seen us play before, but we're going to be playing nothing but new stuff. We're going to be telling you guys what's coming up, and we're so excited for this record. It's the love of my life, and I've never put more of my heart into something as I have with this, and it's going to be really incredible. So
love. See, there it is again, you guys. Lead with love. Now, how early do people need to get their butts in the seats to see you guys perform before the show starts?
The doors open at 7:30. Yeah.
Okay.
Doors open at 7:30. They'll probably go on about 7:40, somewhere in there.
Okay.
It's part
So I
of
have
our
time to get my
pre-show.
drink.
Yeah, part of our official pre-show for the show. Absolutely.
All right. Well, congratulations. This is amazing what you guys are doing. This is Central Florida, you guys. We are always preaching that the talent here is crazy. So this is just another incredible example. Congratulations on the show. We cannot wait to come and see you. Thank you again for joining us tonight. I know you guys are super busy. Hang tight for just a second in the green room. We're going to give you a proper goodbye. But thank you for coming on, and you guys get your tickets. Yeah, you got it. All right. There it is. Very exciting. If you guys need any information on how to get the tickets, head over to the Stat Academy website, Phantasmagoria. They have links there. And also the Dr. Phillips Center of Performing Arts. You can get tickets there as well. Get them while they last. I know I'll be there, Rick. I'm going to drag you along with me. And thanks for joining another Indie Horror Junkie podcast. If you want to continue to support us, go to YouTube, like, subscribe, and share. And we will see you guys the next go around. Have a good night.